Welcome to the Black Educated Tea podcast where we have conversations on how Black women navigate through life and education. I'm your host, Makeda Marie. I'm a life coach and strategic consultant. In this safe space and in this podcast, we have conversations on how we balance and navigate through life, education, corporate America, entrepreneurship, motherhood, love, just so many topics. It's just endless. Please join us for the Black Educated Tea podcast so you can be a part of these magnificent conversations. Welcome to the Black Educated Tea podcast. I'm your host, Makeda Marie, and today's topic is radical self-care. And as always, before we get into the tea, we don't have tea today because I'm being a little radical today. So I'm actually drinking just a Bailey's Irish cream. It's just something I wanted to drink. It's really sweet. It's just really good. I definitely suggest you go try it if you have not. It reminds me like a White Russian. I really love White Russian and, things of that sort. So I'm drinking a Bailey's Irish cream. Not a tea today, because I'm being a little radical. So let's go ahead and get into the topic, radical self-care. I recently watched a video, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Matter of fact, I'll say I watched several videos, listening to radical self-care. What does that mean? What does it look like? What does it look like for me? How I can fit that into my schedule? Because I did a podcast episode not too long ago where I talked about self-care. And so I now just wanted to really touch on radical self-care and how is that really different from just self-care. And there is a slight difference. I mean, of course, it's all self-care. But when you add the radical on it, that's when it really steps up a notch. So radical self-care is really the assertion that you are taking on the responsibility of putting yourself first before anything else, anyone else. And that is typically what self-care is. But with radical, it's like, I don't care what else is going on at all. I am taking on the responsibility of putting myself first, no matter how others may feel about it, how they may respond, how they may react to it. You are putting yourself first. And I always say with everything, there's boundaries. And so for some people, if they want to just go and do radical self-care for 6 months where they're like, look, I don't care what nobody else has going on for these 6 months. It's all about me. That's totally fine. It's up to you. I mean, for me, the fact that I do have a family and I do have a lot of other obligations and things that's going on, I can't be that radical. So I can't say, for 3 months it's all about me and, I'm not going to, take care of my family or I'm not going to, focus on their needs and support them. But if I want to say that for this week, I am putting myself first, I am taking on responsibility for myself and, others will just have to wait or fall in line or just, let me have my moment. That is absolutely feasible. There is nothing wrong with that at all because we all need radical self-care. We all need self-care, period. But I think we all really need the radical part to it where you just say, okay, enough is enough. And I just want to, for 2 days, I just want to relax. This is what I want to eat. This is what I want to watch. But have others to understand, like, hey, if anything happens, please, can you just, for this moment, take it and run with it or handle it and just let me have this time to myself because we all need it. Because I always say, I am a huge advocate. I'm a huge, person when it comes to self-care. And although I have not branched into the radical self-care, it's coming. But I'm going to let those around me know. Like, okay, look, for 2-3 days, I just want to binge watch whatever. And I just want to kind of eat. And not saying that everything has to lack because I'm doing radical self-care. There still may be moments where I may take, one meeting on. Or I still, because I still want to do the things that I love. So I still want to help my kids with their homework or whatever it may be. So that doesn't mean I just completely shut out the world and don't do absolutely anything within those 2 or 3 days. Whatever is radical for you. That's what that's what it means with radical self-care. If you want to go to the spa for 2 days straight, then that's what you do, because that is what's radical for you. If you want to go to the library, to the bookstore for a couple of days straight, just finding particular books, then do you. Whatever is radical for you, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. So please stop trying to fit whatever your self-care routine is for somebody else. I've had people to do me like that. Well, you know what? For self-care, I do this, I do that. You know what? You should do it as well, because I think you're really going to like it. It's really going to be, I've already, made reservations. Girl, come on. It's like, but I don't want to do that. I don't, I appreciate it. But I don't want to do that. Just because you like it don't mean I'm going to like it. So, also know that, because what is self-care and what works for you may not work for the other person. But please, give your opinions and suggestions, and tell someone, you know what, I went to this spa. You might want to just check it out, and leave it alone. Leave it alone, and let them decide if they want to go to that particular spa or not. Or you say, you know what, I took a trip here. I really like it. You may want to look into it. If you want any information on it, I can really help you. I can really assist you on it. I can make some suggestions on it, and leave it alone. And if that person comes back to you and be like, you know what, I think I really do want to visit that place. Can you help me? Then step up and help them. But like I say, everybody's radical self-care looks different. So, offer opinions and suggestions, but let people do them. Because my self-care is going to the bookstore. I love to go to the bookstore. And I can spend 2-3 hours in the bookstore. For some people, they might be like, 10 minutes in the bookstore, I'm kind of ready to go. So that's not radical self-care for everyone. But it is for me. So find out what radical self-care works for you and just go with it. Whether it's a spa, whether it's getting a facial, whether it's going for a walk in 100-degree weather or whatever. Some people may just like to be out in nature, which I do as well. I absolutely love nature. But you're not going to see your girl out there in 110 degrees trying to walk. And I love the heat. I love to soak up the sun and just be out there. But, with this humidity and this heat, it's like, okay, I need to go early in the morning. I'm going to wait later in the day. So it just looks different. But, radical self-care is really something that I have not really practiced yet. I've practiced self-care, of course, and I do it monthly, whether it's my facials or whether it is going to the bookstore or whether it's going to the park or, so I do different things when it comes to my self-care in general. But I haven't really done the radical self-care. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to taking a couple of days and really just doing the radical self-care. But first, I need to really figure out what's going to be radical for me. And I think for me, when it comes to the radical self-care, I need to do something that I normally wouldn't do. Whether that's hiking, whatever it may be. But I need to really, sit down, get my thoughts and compose things and think, this is radical. So this is something that I would normally, do for me. Now, some people, especially after watching videos and talking with, and conversing with people, their radical self-care is really things they would normally do for their self-care. But for me, I'm trying to go all out. So for my radical self-care, I really want to do something that I normally wouldn't do because it's about me. I want to make it about me, and I want to fully take on the responsibility of making sure that it's something that I want to do, and it's going to be really beneficial as well. But radical, some people look at that term, and a lot of people look at it totally different. For me, when I think of radical, I think it's something I wouldn't normally do. So my radical self-care, and I'm going to film it, and I'm really excited to see what I actually come up with, because it's going to be something definitely out of the box, something that I wouldn't normally do when it comes to my self-care. And so I'm really excited, and I can't wait to, share that all with you. So I want you all to just take a moment, take time, and just really think about, what does radical self-care look like for you? We all know what self-care looks like, no matter what it is and how you partake in it. Or, whatever you do for your self-care. We know what self-care looks like and what it looks like for us. But I want you all to take a moment and really think about, what does radical self-care look for you? How can you fit that into your life, into your schedule? And, will it be beneficial to you at all? Or are you like, what, self-care is self-care. I don't have to be radical with it. I can just continue to do my monthly facials and massages and just, find ways to relax in my spiritual baths, daily or, weekly, whatever. So for some, you might be like, yeah, I ain't got to do nothing radical. I'm just going to continue to do my regular self-care and that's, fits me, but it's one of those terms that really caught my attention. And because it's really been a lot of talk about it lately. So I was like, you know what, let me look and do more research. I'm a researcher. So I'm always one, I'm like, let me really see what the radical self-care, thing is all about. And so as I started to do my research and look deeper and dive more into it, I was like, oh yeah, I can really do that because it's something that I'm already doing. But I just want to think outside the box when I'm, practicing radical self-care. So I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts, and just, how you will, incorporate radical self-care into your journey or into your life. Or if you're like, I don't really necessarily need it, I can just continue to do, my practice, the self-care that I'm doing now. So please just share. I would love to hear about it. And as I do, different radical self-care things, techniques, I'm going to share them with you as well. And as always, this is the Black Educated Tea Podcast.